am Savvy Mike, and this is I Am Savvy Mike TV. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Cameron is turning the YouTube streets up. He's like, look, I'm back. We're back at work. I went on vacation. I fucked a million hoes off the pink horse, whatever that fucking sex drug he's pushing is. He's like, I fucked a million hoes off of it. I'm here. We're lit. I gotta fucking violate Jim Jones for saying that bullshit he said on Justin LeBoy's podcast. And what, we got Elliot Wilson out there talking? Okay, let me hit him up and let's have a conversation. And we're gonna watch a part of that conversation. I wanted to watch the beginning of that conversation because something interesting happened in the beginning, and then we're gonna get into them debating about media and new media and all that extra shit. But we're going to watch Cameron's response to what Elliot Wilson had to say in his Cameron way. Like this was Cameron responding to a op in person in a way that I would think he would do it. Like exactly how you think Cameron would do it. This is that. Okay, I'm done yapping. Here we go.
You did later go on a show and say that you respect the work that has been put in, but your comments do start from somewhere, and you are valid to have your own opinion, so might as well talk about it now. So, Elliot, you said, quote, everybody's media, Summer Walker is media, Cameron is running around like he is Stephen A. Smith. This is the time that I really want you to clarify that statement with him listening, of course, and explain how you feel about artists, athletes, and entertainers turning into media.
Well, I was embarrassed by my appearance on the Roy Mal thing. I think that caught me in a vulnerable moment where, you know, being somebody that's been in hip hop media, been in media since the early 90s, like you said, seeing all the change.
Yeah, Elliot was gone. He was faded. He was drunk. I wouldn't necessarily think he would be embarrassed by that appearance because it was a spicy when it got the streets talking, but he was definitely faded. That nigga was gone.
Changes of like so much more streamers are now taking up the marketplace. So many athletes or artists are now media. You know, it's a little tough now for traditional journalists. So I think my frustration came out and I targeted Cam, and that wasn't fair. I was wrong for that. And now when I really look at it, Cam should walk around like he's Stephen A. Smith because he's building a sports empire on his own terms, right? He put his own money up. Mace put money up. They've done things the right way. They've empowered others, Michael Irvin, Mark Jackson, to even RIP OJ, and especially you.
Nah,
not
Elliot, like copping, please.
So if you look at the way it was moving out here, you set the standard of how you should move out here. But, you know, sometimes me as a traditional journalist, I get frustrated. And I just think I was a little bit out of pocket there, and I apologize, and that really wasn't where I was really coming from. I was more so pointing out the challenges that today's journalists face in this marketplace where so much is like fame and celebrity, you know, fueled. People want to be famous before they want to be true journalists, you know?
Okay. Cam, how do you feel about Elliot's statement? Because, I mean, the argument can be you're not running around like Stephen A. Smith, you're running around like Cam, because that's who you are. So how do you feel about that? And then how do you feel about artists, athletes, and entertainers turning into media?
Right. First, when I'm looking at Elliot now, it's like, I didn't know your face looked like pepper jack turkey. Like, that's what you look, the texture of your skin looks like pepper jack turkey. Like, it look like you sweat duck sauce. You look like a sloppy sandwich in the face. Pause, man.
What the fuck? What a way to start a conversation. You look like pepper jack turkey. You look like a sloppy sandwich in the face. Pause. Hey, yo. What the fuck, Cameron? Like, this nigga just copped $1 million, please. He apologized. He said he was wrong. This nigga Cameron like, nah, I'm gonna still get some hate off. You look like a pepper jack turkey. I've never, what? What a way to call a man light skinned. Tell him he don't look like no fried chicken. He look like some turkey.
My bad. I didn't know. I never really looked at you like that. But as far as what Elliot said, I'm running around. I'm not trying to be anybody but myself. As far as comparing me to Stephen A. Smith, I take that as a compliment because he's kind of the standard. He's in negotiations for doing $100 million deal over a certain amount of years of time. And certain amount of years, there's $100 million per year. But he's basically the standard when it comes to getting money in this field. And not only being the standard, he's a black man from New York, like I am. So I'm never trying to be anybody else, but if you're going to compare me to somebody who's at the top of the game in this thing that we're doing, and I've only been doing this since, it's going on, it's going to be 2 years in March this year coming up. So if you're comparing me to that, it isn't like he said a podcaster or somebody else. So I didn't get to it. When I heard it, to be honest with you, I really wasn't too upset about it. I was more like, where'd that come from? But I mean, over the years, I've known Elliot. We haven't really talked a lot and so on and so forth. And I seen like a few things from his interview stat. He's like his relationship with Jay-Z and all this. And I didn't know, to be honest with you, I didn't really know you had a great relationship with Jay-Z. I didn't know. I didn't pay attention to it that much because from what I remember is with Elliot is that he ran Double XL when I was coming up. And if you get the cover, you get the cover. If you don't, you got to move on to the next thing. So I never put too much faith into one magazine because there's different outlets prior to the internet as well. Magazine covers were definitely an important. And Double XL's Vanessa too. Shout out to Vanessa. They supported me a lot through my career. So I have nothing bad to say about that at all. But as far as comparing me to Stephen A. Smith, to be honest with you, I wasn't offended. I was more just confused. Like, where's this going? As far as athletes and entertainers becoming podcasters or analysts or anything of that nature, with me, it's more about looking at the climate. It isn't about necessarily being a journalist, because Elliot made a great point with his opening statement. People may want to be more famous than doing the due diligence or homework or something that a topic is. But me, you have to look where the climate is going. And when I heard his interview, to be honest with you, I said to myself, this sounds like the guy who used to own Blockbuster and he's mad he can't sell VHS tapes. Or a guy who owns a livery cab service and he's mad that everybody's Ubering. That's the vibe that pushed off. And instead of figuring out the climate and what to do to get money in the climate, it sounded like more of a complaining situation, to where a person like me, I would sit there and say, well, why is and I'm not mocking you, I'm being serious. Why is everybody streaming? And I don't get streaming. Why we can't sell physical tapes or physical CDs or vinyl? I just don't, how are they monetizing it? What's the BDS or what's the sound scan? And instead of doing that, I figure ways out to see which way the climate is moving, whichever field I'm in, music, movies, entertainment, regardless, whatever it is, and try to be the best at what direction the climate is going in. But I wasn't offended when he said it.
Okay. So, Elliot, just follow-up question for you based off of what Cam said. So what is your relationship with Jay-Z? And then how do you feel about Cam's statement towards you? And then basically just the way that journalism and media is going right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have a friend, producer Trav, that works with me and stuff. He says, you don't complain, you adjust, right? So to Cam's point, he's right. It's like, again, I was caught in a vulnerable moment where I kind of expressed my frustration, but that's not how I really feel ultimately. Like, I feel like I have such a passion to document hip hop culture. I'm going to continue to grow and pivot and adapt to these things and not look at it as a negative, right? And, I have my own debate show I got coming out, The Bigger Picture, with Jeremy Heck and DJ Head, that I do every Saturday. I'm starting my own new one-on-one interview series called Elliot Wilson Experience. Show my interviews. I feel like I do some of the best hip hop interviews out there. I did a great interview with Cameron, in 2019 with B-Dot for Rap Radar podcast. This show is called Elliot Wilson Experience. I'm interviewing artists like Snoop Dogg, Wale, Absol, Leon Thomas. So I just have to reinvent myself. I can't complain that, all these people are out here with outlets and they're making noise. I got to continue to push it. This is what I want to do, document hip hop culture and grow. I got to adapt to these things. So I thought it was a really teachable moment. And I appreciate, I didn't do any of this to stir some sort of viral moment or get on your program. It was just a natural moment of frustration I expressed. But to Cam's point, you can't just complain about that. You don't want to be the old person at the park talking about you don't get no play anymore. You have to adapt to these times. And I'm determined to do that.
Got it. Okay.
glad that you're determined to do that, Elliot Wilson, and I'm glad you were copping please, because yeah, coming after Cameron was wrong, in my opinion at least, because he's just doing what everybody else is doing, especially in the landscape that he's in, and he's very smart and articulate with it as well. Like, look, I just know how to adjust, my nigga. You need to learn how to adjust it. Elliot Wilson is saying, look, I'm adjusting. I'm not Blockbuster. I'm trying to be Netflix, Cameron. Damn. But either way, Elliot definitely retract what he was saying. You know, I like it when somebody stands on business. I do. But when they're wrong, they're wrong. And I think Elliot Wilson was wrong in this situation. And so it's good to hear that he thinks so as well, especially hearing it back and hearing what he said about Cameron and what they're doing in new media now, because now he's a part of new media and he just has to accept it, keep adjusting, keep doing what he's doing, and he's a smart man. He'll find a way to keep putting his voice out there. Either way, shout out to Cameron. Look, it is what it is show with him, Mace, and Treasure. They're doing some amazing shit over there. I'm fucking with what's going on over there. Shout out to Cameron. Shout out to Elliot Wilson. Shout out to everybody in new media. Shout out to me. Shout out to Man Cave Podcast. Please go listen to it. Either way, let me know what y'all think in the comments below about Elliot Wilson copping please, and him and Cameron at least making amends. Let me know in the comments below. I am Savvy Mike, and this, as always, is I Am Savvy Mike TV. And I just want to shout out to the scammers scamming, the hoes hoeing, the tricks tricking, the simps simping, the niggas niggering, whatever. Shout out y'all, man. Peace.